The Baltimore Ravens obviously had a lot of picks in the fourth round, and we think the hidden gem for them was none other than tight end Isaiah Likely out of Coastal Carolina University. Miles, what are your thoughts on this pick in this situation with the Ravens?
First of all, Nick, love the picks. Always love a good fullback, good tight end, and Likely is one of those players. Personally, having seen him play multiple times going to the University of Coastal Carolina, I've seen him play multiple times, and he's a really solid player. Um, Great pass catching tight end, mediocre blocking tight end, but I have a strong feeling, seeing as how Baltimore did not draft any wide receivers, even after trading Marquise Hollywood Brown away during the draft. Instead, they got two really solid pass catching tight ends. I think Baltimore is going to transition to more 2 and 3 tight end sets to possibly get those pass catchers out there, get a little bit of mismatches on smaller cornerbacks or slower linebackers. So I really like the pick, and I like Likely's production in college. He was a very, very productive player at Coastal. What do you think?
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head with trying to create matchups. So there's really two ways to create big plays right out of offense. You can either have a player that's just better than everybody else. It's like Debo Samuel or Tyreek Hill or something like that. Or you can kind of scheme it. You can kind of create a situation where someone gets a favorable matchup. So the Ravens tried with Hollywood Brown to get a player that was just faster and quicker and more big play potential than any other player. That's what they try to create. And while Brown was a good player and a decent receiver, he only averages last year with the Ravens at 11 yards per catch. What does that mean? It doesn't mean he got slower. It means teams started playing off him a little bit more and kind of negated, a lot of that big play potential. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it. So now they're kind of pivoting. And I really like this because you brought up Likely being a really nice receiver. Did you know over his last 2 seasons at Coastal, he averaged 17 yards per reception? That is huge for a tight end. Guess how much Mark Andrews has in his career?
Like 10, 12?
12. 12. That's like the high level. George Kittle's at 12, Andrews at 12, Travis Kelce's at 12, 13. That's kind of that 12, 13 range is elite level tight end yards per catch. Likely is essentially a big play receiver playing tight end. They're going to use him to create big plays. He had 5 career touchdowns at Coastal of 50 yards or more. That's unheard of for tight ends. Tight ends maybe get 1, maybe 2 in their entire career. This guy has 5. He ran a 4.5 40. He's got elite speed. I just think they're going to try and recreate the Hollywood Brown, what they try to do with his big plays, and use it with Likely, just like you said, out of multiple tight end sets.
And the one good thing, though, about Likely is he is a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. So that'll help out in Baltimore a good amount. But the other thing is the only real knock on him is his size. Yeah. He's around like the 230, 6'5", 230. They'd like him to be closer to 250. So saying that he can put on 10 or 15 pounds or so, that's where they say if he can keep this elite athleticism, put on a little size, he would have had like higher, like second, first round grades.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. I think they say it's like 235 at the combine or something like that. But
yeah,
that's the only knock you have going for you, and that's where they're saying you're gonna, I think you can put the weight on easily and keep this as athleticism. He's just such a great player overall. So yeah, I think it's a home run.
And you can't question his toughness because this guy who played hurt in 2020, right? He played hurt the entire season as Coastal was climbing and being a top 10 team. This guy's a tough guy. He's liked on and off the field as a leader. He was very lightly recruited out of Massachusetts. That's where he went to high school. Goes to Coastal because that was his best chance to start and play tight end at any sort of big level of college football. And Coastal Carolina traditionally, obviously, is not that big a level. So this guy, he has the toughness. He has the drive. He has the desire. He's a team guy. So while he may not be the biggest guy in the world, he's going to throw his hat in there and put bodies on people when he needs to block in a running game.
Yeah, and then PFF, the other bonuses, pluses, they said he's highly advanced as a route runner for a tight end. He usually sets up defenders with his stems. He can get outside regularly. He kind of bridges the gap, like we've been saying, between a tight end and a wide receiver. And his comp is he reminds people of Robert Tonyan, who's a pretty productive NFL tight end as well. So I think that he has the ability to be a really high-level player in the NFL, and I think a lot of people missed out not taking him a little bit earlier.
Well, and it's also the fit too with the Ravens, right? Because the Ravens, like you said, with those 3 tight end sets and with Lamar Jackson, who's just a matchup nightmare to anybody. I mean, you think about it, if you're playing the Ravens, you're going to have to bring a safety in the box. So you're going to either, and that's how you go 3 tight ends. The Ravens go 3 tight ends. So you bring a safety and a corner in the box. So you put the safety on Lamar Jackson as a spy because you got to do that. Otherwise, Jackson will run for 5 million yards. You put a corner on Mark Andrews. He could win that matchup, but maybe it's a wash. And then you have Isaiah Likely, 17-yard per catch guy. You brought up all his traits as a route runner and athleticism. He's on a linebacker who, by the way, is keying on the run because the Ravens run the football so well and will do it even better because they drafted Tyler Linderbaum. So I like Likely winning matchups all season long against run-first linebackers. I think he's going to be this could be a huge year. He could have 60, 70 catches, 8, 9 touchdowns. And we could be seeing a lot of Isaiah Likely.
Oh, yeah. And lastly, my other point is you're saying, who's he going to throw it to? Well, last year, Lamar completed 49.5% of his passes to the tight end position. Yeah. So the volume is there. Andrews has always needed the help. So you spread the ball a little bit around between Likely, Kohler, and Andrews. There's going to be a tight end feast in Baltimore.